They say never mix business with family, but when my brother stole my software architecture and pitched it as his own to our investors, he forgot one crucial detail. I had embedded a signature in the code that would reveal his betrayal exactly when he needed it most, during his pitch to secure $50 million in Series B funding. My name is Daniel Wei, and until 3 months ago, I was the Chief Technology Officer at Quantum Cipher, a cybersecurity startup I co-founded with my brother Eric. We had built the company from nothing to a valuation of over $200 million in just under 4 years. Our encryption technology promised to revolutionize data security in an increasingly vulnerable digital landscape. The journey had been exhilarating, late nights fueled by caffeine and ambition, the rush of solving seemingly impossible problems, and the pride of creating something meaningful. Eric and I had always been competitive. Growing up as the children of Chinese immigrants in suburban Boston, excellence wasn't encouraged, it was expected. Our parents had sacrificed everything to give us opportunities in America, working double shifts at the restaurant they owned to pay for our education. While Eric excelled socially, becoming class president and captain of the debate team, I found my place in mathematics and computer science, often spending weekends at specialized programs while my peers attended parties. One brother to build it, one brother to sell it, our father would say proudly. The perfect combination. And for a while it was. Eric's charisma and business acumen complemented my technical expertise. He handled investors and media with natural grace, while I led our engineering team in developing our breakthrough encryption protocol. The arrangement worked until it didn't. The trouble began when Vanessa Chen joined our company as VP of Business Development. Brilliant, ambitious, and with connections throughout Silicon Valley, she was exactly what we needed to scale our business. Eric recruited her personally, convinced her expertise would help us secure the Series B funding we needed to expand internationally. She's perfect for us, Daniel, he had insisted. Harvard MBA, experience at Google and Microsoft, and she believes in what we're building. What Eric didn't mention was their previous relationship. They had dated briefly during business school before going their separate ways. I discovered this only by accident, overhearing a conversation at our company holiday party. When confronted, Eric dismissed it as irrelevant. Ancient history, he said with a laugh. We're professionals. Besides, she's engaged to some venture capital guy now. I should have recognized the warning signs. The private meetings that didn't appear on any calendar, the sudden interest Eric took in the technical aspects of our product, the subtle changes in how decisions were being made. But I was focused on perfecting our technology, addressing the vulnerabilities our security team had identified in our latest audit. 3 months ago, I returned early from a cybersecurity conference in Singapore, having cut my trip short after a breakthrough idea for solving our persistent latency issue. It was nearly midnight when I reached the office, expecting to find it empty. Instead, I saw light coming from our main conference room. Through the glass walls, I could see Eric and Vanessa huddled over a laptop, surrounded by technical diagrams that looked suspiciously like my preliminary designs for our next-generation architecture. When I entered, they jumped apart like guilty teenagers. Daniel. Eric recovered quickly. You're back early. We were just reviewing some materials for the investor presentation next month. At midnight, I asked, noting how Vanessa subtly closed the laptop. The best work happens after hours, she said smoothly. Eric was helping me understand the technical infrastructure in more detail. Investors always drill down on the technology. I nodded, watching as Eric gathered the diagrams into a folder. Those look like my working designs for the distributed node architecture. Just making copies, Eric said, sliding the folder into his messenger bag. You know how thorough Vanessa likes to be with preparation. Something felt wrong, but I couldn't place it. These were people I trusted implicitly, my brother and our hand-picked executive. I pushed my suspicions aside, attributing them to travel fatigue and the perpetual stress of startup life. 1 week later, Eric suggested a new division of responsibilities in preparation for our upcoming funding round. We need to specialize more as we scale, he explained during our weekly leadership meeting. Daniel, you should focus exclusively on current product development and stability. Vanessa and I will handle the future roadmap and investor relations. The future roadmap is built on the architectural changes I'm developing, I pointed out. We can't separate them. We're not separating them, Vanessa interjected. We're just streamlining communication. Investors don't need all the technical details, they need a clear, compelling vision. The vote was 3-1. Our CFO, always more aligned with Eric's vision than mine, sided with them. I was effectively boxed out of investor presentations and strategic planning, relegated to maintaining our existing systems while my brother and Vanessa shaped the company's future. My suspicions grew when I noticed Eric had revoked my access to certain company repositories. When questioned, he cited security compartmentalization as we approached our funding round. It made little sense. I had architected our entire system. If anyone should have comprehensive access, it was me. The final confirmation came from an unexpected source. Michael Zhang, one of our senior engineers who had been with us since the beginning, requested a private meeting off-site. "I thought you should know," he said hesitantly as we sat in a quiet corner of a coffee shop 2 blocks from our office. "Eric and Vanessa have been meeting with the engineering team individually. They're gathering all your design documentation, asking detailed questions about your methods. They're doing due diligence for investors," I suggested, still reluctant to believe the worst. Michael shook his head. "No, Daniel. They're positioning Eric as the true technical visionary behind Quantum Cipher. They've been rewriting the company history. According to the new narrative, you implemented Eric's architectural vision. You didn't create it." The betrayal felt physical, like a blow to the chest. My own brother was attempting to erase my contributions, to recast himself as the technical genius behind our success. It wasn't just about ego, it was about fundamentally misrepresenting our company to investors and the market. That night, I accessed our systems remotely, using administrator credentials only I possessed. What I found confirmed my worst fears: a completely revised investor presentation that minimized my role to early implementation support, with Eric prominently featured as the architectural visionary behind our technology. More disturbing still, I discovered emails between Eric and Vanessa discussing a post-funding reorganization that would move me to an advisory role with no operational authority. They planned to push me out of the company I had helped build from nothing. I considered my options carefully. A public confrontation would damage the company and potentially torpedo our funding round, hurting our employees and customers. Legal action would be prolonged and messy, with no guarantee outcome. I needed a solution that would reveal the truth while preserving what we had built. Then I remembered something I had implemented years ago, when we first founded the company. In our core encryption protocol, I had embedded a digital signature, a cryptographic proof of authorship that linked the fundamental architecture to my identity. It was standard practice in advanced cryptography, a way to verify authentic authorship while maintaining open-source principles. The signature wasn't hidden, exactly. It was hiding in plain sight, visible to anyone who knew exactly where to look and how to decode it. If activated during a demonstration, it would display my name and timestamp as the architectural creator, irrefutable evidence embedded in the very technology Eric was claiming as his own. I made my decision. Rather than confronting Eric directly, I would let him continue with his plan. The investor presentation was scheduled as a live demonstration of our next-generation architecture, the perfect stage for the truth to reveal itself. For the next 2 weeks, I played my part perfectly. I attended meetings, responded to technical questions, and gave no indication that I was aware of the betrayal in progress. Eric grew increasingly confident, even condescending in his interactions with me. "Don't worry about the Sanderson Venture Partners presentation," he said the day before the big meeting. "Vanessa and I have it covered. Just make sure the demo environment is stable." "Of course," I replied, hiding my anger behind a mask of professional courtesy. "Everything's prepared." The morning of the presentation arrived. Our conference room was filled with partners from Sanderson Venture Partners, one of Silicon Valley's most prestigious firms. If successful, their investment would value Quantum Cipher at over $500 million. I sat quietly at the back of the room as Eric began his presentation, watching him smoothly take credit for innovations that had kept me awake for months, for architectural insights that had come to me during countless solitary hours of work. Vanessa stood beside him, occasionally adding market context to his technical claims. "The distributed node architecture you're about to see represents a fundamental rethinking of encryption protocols," Eric explained confidently. "I developed this approach to solve the inherent vulnerabilities in traditional encryption methods." He nodded to our technical team to begin the live demonstration. On the large screen behind him, Our system initialized, displaying the elegant minimalist interface I had designed. Everything seemed to be proceeding according to his plan. Then, as the core protocol activated, something unexpected happened. A small window appeared in the corner of the screen, expanding rapidly to display a message. Architectural avgt anti-Kajion protostola activated. Primary Architecture by Daniel W. A. TIMEST AMP 06 to 12 2019. Unauthorized Attribution GTTTD. The room fell silent. Eric froze mid-sentence, his expression shifting from confidence to confusion to barely concealed panic. "What is this?" asked Catherine Sanderson, the managing partner at Sanderson Venture Partners. "A security feature," I said, standing up from my seat at the back of the room. "One I implemented when I designed this architecture 3 years ago. It's a cryptographic proof of authorship, standard practice, and secure systems development." Eric attempted to recover. Daniel worked on early implementations, of course. We all contributed. The timestamp and cryptographic signature are immutable, Eric, I interrupted calmly. They're embedded in the core protocol. You can't change them without breaking the entire system. What followed was the most uncomfortable 30 minutes of my professional life. With the evidence undeniable, Eric and Vanessa were forced to admit their deception. The Sanderson partners, initially angry at being misled, eventually appreciated the irony. A security company whose own technology had secured the truth about its creation. "We invest in integrity as much as innovation," Catherine Sanderson said as the meeting concluded. "We're still interested in quantum cipher, but we need to understand the actual leadership structure and contribution history before proceeding." In the aftermath, our board of directors called an emergency meeting. Eric and Vanessa were placed on administrative leave pending a full investigation. 2 weeks later, both resigned rather than face formal dismissal. I was appointed interim CEO while the board conducted a search for permanent leadership. The funding round eventually closed, though at a somewhat lower valuation than originally projected. More importantly, Quantum Cipher survived with its core technology and team intact. Eric and I haven't spoken since that day. Our parents, devastated by the rift between their sons, have tried unsuccessfully to mediate a reconciliation. Perhaps someday that will be possible, but the wound remains too fresh, the betrayal too profound. Yesterday, I received an email from Eric, the first communication since his resignation. It contained only a single line. "You always were too clever for your own good." I didn't respond. Some messages don't require an answer. As for Quantum Cipher, we're thriving under new leadership. I returned to my role as CTO, happier focusing on technology than corporate politics. Our Series C funding closed last month, validating both our business model and our commitment to integrity. The experience taught me something valuable. In business as in programming, it's wise to build in safeguards, not out of paranoia, but pragmatism. People may surprise you, and not always pleasantly. The right validation check, implemented quietly but effectively, can be the difference between vulnerability and security. Sometimes the most important code you write isn't the one that runs your business. It's the one that protects your legacy when others try to rewrite your story.